A soft, reflective melody begins. Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're diving deep into a story that many know but perhaps few truly understand. The journey of Jim Carrey. Imagine this. The crowd is roaring, cameras flash like 1,000 tiny stars, and then Jim Carrey walks onto the stage. A wide smile, a wave, a funny face, instant laughter fills the room. He's the master of joy, the man who could make the whole world forget its troubles. But what happens when the applause dies down and the bright lights dim? The scene shifts. Jim stands alone in his dressing room. The smile that just lit up an arena slowly fades. He looks into the mirror, and what he sees isn't the beloved comedian everyone adores. He sees a man he doesn't quite recognize anymore. "Who are you, Jim?" he whispers to his reflection. "Are you the person they laugh at? Or the one hiding behind that smile?" The mirror holds no answers, only reflecting a tired man. His eyes, once so full of dreams, now seem empty. He sits down, a profound heaviness in his heart that he can't explain. He has everything the world tells you to want: fame, fortune, adoration. People called him lucky. Yet, a deep, unsettling void remained. It was a feeling no amount of laughter, no amount of success could fill. Every day was a whirlwind of cameras, interviews, and noise. Everyone wanted Funny Jim. But no one seemed to ask about the man beneath the jokes, the person beyond the persona. He started to question everything. Was he living for himself or for the expectations of everyone else? At night, when silence descended, it felt louder than any roar of applause. He'd sit in the dark, contemplating his life. He had worked tirelessly to bring happiness to others, but he felt he'd lost the map to his own happiness. He once confided to a friend, "I thought success would set me free. Instead, it feels like the more people love me, the further I drift from myself." There were days when even the thought of getting out of bed felt like an immense effort, days when even laughter brought a strange kind of pain. But he would still summon that iconic smile for the cameras, still radiate that infectious energy. He believed it was what he was supposed to do, yet behind every joke, every spirited performance lay a quiet sadness, a hidden struggle no one could see. He often thought back to his childhood, growing up with little, dreaming big. He'd promised his mother, "One day, I'll make the world laugh." And he did. He kept that promise. But as he stood at the pinnacle of his career, he had a stark realization. He might have climbed the wrong mountain. He had chased a dream that didn't lead to inner peace. He had become what the world demanded, not what his heart truly yearned to be. Sometimes after a show, he'd drive alone through the quiet, dim streets. He'd roll down the window, feel the cool air, and the thought would surface. What if I just disappeared? Would anyone even notice that the real me was already gone? It was a scary thought, but one that resonated with an unsettling truth. One fateful night, after a grueling day of shooting, Jim came home. He turned off all the lights and sat in the darkness for hours, staring into nothingness. Then a soft, weary voice broke the silence. "I'm tired of pretending. I'm tired of being this version of me." The world outside continued its laughter, oblivious, but inside him something irrevocably shifted. That night marked a turning point in Jim Carrey's journey. He no longer felt driven just to make people laugh. His new quest was to understand why he couldn't laugh for himself. And so he embarked on a different kind of disappearance, not from the world, but from the person he had been pretending to be. It's a powerful reminder that our most profound journeys often begin when we dare to look within. What do you think about Jim Carrey's journey and this incredible realization? Let us know in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, give us a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring stories and insights. We appreciate you being here. Today we're diving deep into a story that many of you might have heard whispers of. A journey of self-discovery from one of Hollywood's brightest stars. Get ready to rethink everything you thought you knew about fame, happiness, and finding your true self. Imagine waking up one morning and for the first time in years everything is silent. No alarms, no cameras, no phone calls. Just silence. That's exactly what happened to Jim Carrey. After a lifetime of making us laugh, of being in the spotlight, of building a world full of noise, he suddenly found himself face to face with an unexpected quiet. He looked around his big house, saw all the awards and smiling pictures, and realized he felt absolutely nothing. All that noise, all that fame, it was all to hide from a different kind of silence, the one inside him. And so he made a radical choice. He stopped signing new movies. He stepped away from the red carpets. He stopped pretending. Of course, the media went wild. Jim Carrey has lost his mind. Where did he go? Some laughed, some worried. But Jim? He didn't care. All he wanted was peace, something he'd never truly known. He moved away from Hollywood, trading the bright lights for quiet days spent painting, meditating, and simply being alone. The first few days were strange, no applause, no spotlight, just him and his thoughts. The silence initially felt heavy. The mind that once delivered brilliant jokes now brought painful memories. Every laugh he'd given the world came back as a question. Who am I really? He'd sit before a blank canvas, brush in hand, not knowing what to create. Then slowly something shifted. He started painting faces, not the smiling masks we knew, but faces full of raw emotion, pain, confusion, and even light. He later shared that he painted because words couldn't express what he felt anymore. Some nights he'd walk under the stars, whispering to himself, "I don't know what's happening, but I can't go back to the old me." He immersed himself in books about life, spirituality, and inner peace. He meditated for hours, learning to listen, not to others, but to himself. It wasn't easy, though. Depression doesn't just disappear. Some mornings, he felt a surge of strength. Other mornings, getting out of bed felt impossible. He realized, maybe this is what my soul truly wanted. Not fame, but truth. He missed the laughter sometimes, but he certainly didn't miss the mask. He'd once believed he needed people to love him. But now, he just wanted to understand himself. One evening, watching a quiet sunset, tears welled up. But they weren't tears of sadness. For the first time in a very long time, the silence didn't scare him. It comforted him. He began to understand that disappearing wasn't losing himself. It was the first crucial step to finding himself. Yet, a part of him was still afraid. What if true happiness never returned? What if he was broken beyond repair? He looked at an unfinished painting, a man wearing a smiling mask, but behind it a powerful light. He touched it gently, whispering, "Maybe the light is what I've been hiding all along." And in that moment, something inside him profoundly shifted. He didn't know where his journey would lead, but he knew one thing with absolute certainty. He would never go back to being the man he once was. From that day forward, Jim Carrey stopped searching for happiness in the world outside. He began a quiet, profound journey, searching for peace within himself. And in that search, he was about to discover something incredibly powerful, something that would redefine his understanding of life, fame, pain, and what it truly means to be alive. What an incredible transformation, right? Jim Carrey's story is a powerful reminder that sometimes the greatest adventures happen when we turn inward. Today we're diving deep into a truly profound story, one that many of us can relate to on a personal level. It's about a journey of self-discovery, truth, and finding peace, even when the world expects you to be someone else. We're talking about Jim Carrey. You know, for years, Jim Carrey was synonymous with laughter, with red carpets, with being in the spotlight. But then, something shifted. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and he started to become a different man. The flashing lights faded, replaced by the quiet solitude of paint and silence. He stepped away from the relentless demands of Hollywood. Yet even in that profound silence, a storm still raged within him. He felt moments of sadness he couldn't explain, a persistent whisper from his heart that he desperately wanted to understand. One morning, as the sunlight streamed through his window, Jim stood before his mirror. He looked at himself, truly looked for the first time in what felt like years. No makeup, no forced smile, no character, just Jim. And what he saw wasn't the funny man the world adored. He saw a tired man, a man who had spent his life pretending to be okay, who had given happiness to everyone else but forgotten to keep some for himself. He stared into his reflection, and a profound realization surfaced. He whispered, "Depression. Maybe it's not the enemy. Maybe it's a message." For a moment, the world stood still. He remembered those long nights, crying without understanding why, the days when his body felt heavy even when everything in his life seemed perfect. It hit him. Depression wasn't just sadness. It was truth. It was his soul, his deepest self telling him, "Stop playing a character. Be yourself." He spoke softly. Depression is when your body says, "I don't want to be this person anymore." And suddenly those words resonated with deep clarity. All his life, he had been chasing an image, a version of himself designed to make the world happy. But that version wasn't real. It was a mask carefully constructed from fear, from pressure, from the intense human need to be loved and accepted. He thought about his childhood, about his father, a man full of talent and dreams who gave them all up for a safe, secure life. And when his father lost that job, the family struggled. Jim realized something heartbreaking. He had lived his entire life trying desperately not to fail like his father. He believed success would shield him from fear. But fear, a silent shadow, had followed him anyway, through every triumph. Looking deeper into the mirror, he spoke to his reflection. "I became everything I thought I should be, and lost everything I truly was." He turned away, tears quietly falling. But these weren't tears of weakness. They were tears of profound truth. For the very first time, he didn't want to run from his pain. He wanted to understand it. He wanted to listen to it. He realized that pain isn't here to punish us. It's here to wake us up, to remind us of what truly matters in this precious life. That day, Jim made a powerful decision. He decided to stop searching for happiness. Instead, he decided to search for truth. He began to write down his thoughts, simple sentences, raw, honest feelings. He wrote, "I am tired of trying to become someone. I just want to be no one, and feel free." He didn't mean no one in a sad or nihilistic way. He meant it in a peaceful way, free from ego, free from the confines of an identity, free from the relentless pressure to always be Jim Carrey, the star. The mirror had become his teacher. Every morning he looked into it, not to fix his face or prepare for a role, but to truly see his soul. He said, "The mirror doesn't lie, it shows you the truth, whether you like it or not." And in that unflinching truth he found something new, a small tender spark of peace, a quiet, reassuring feeling that maybe, just maybe, he was finally becoming real. He smiled then, not the exaggerated, camera-ready grin, but a soft, gentle smile. It was the smile of a man who had finally stopped running. And deep down, he knew this was just the beginning of his real journey, a journey not to become someone, but simply, profoundly, to be. What a powerful story about embracing authenticity and listening to ourselves. I hope Jim's journey inspires you to find your own truth. We're talking about the one and only Jim Carrey. You might remember him as the king of comedy, the master of expression, but behind those iconic roles and infectious smiles, Jim was on a quest for something far more dramatic than any character he ever played. Real life. Imagine this. Jim Carrey steps back from the spotlight, stops acting in movies. But instead of resting, he starts watching. He observes people in cafes, on the streets, in studios. Everyone is busy, smiling, talking, and yes, pretending. And it hits him, right then and there. They're all wearing masks, just like I did. He saw that almost every single one of us plays a role. The good son, the perfect friend, the funny guy, the strong one who never cries. Each of these masks, in its own way, helps us navigate the world. But each one also hides a piece of our truth. He thought back to his own mask, the famous comedian, the perpetually happy man. People thought he was pure light, full of joy. But they never saw the darkness, the struggle, the depth behind the jokes. One evening, looking at his old movie posters, Ace Ventura, The Mask, The Grinch, The Truman Show, he saw those smiling faces, those characters. But suddenly they weren't just characters anymore. They were pieces of himself he had lost along the way. And he whispered, almost to himself, "I was hiding behind laughter because I was afraid of silence." That was the moment he truly understood that the real weight of depression wasn't just sadness. It was the exhausting act of pretending to be okay when you're absolutely not. This realization changed everything. He started seeing the world through a different lens. He noticed how people smile even when their hearts are breaking, how they scroll through social media, showcasing perfect lives, while feeling utterly alone inside. In an interview, he shared a powerful truth that resonated with so many. We're all performing. We're all trying to be somebody. But the truth is, we already are enough. Those aren't just words. They're wisdom born from pain, a pain that ultimately taught him what true peace really means. Jim didn't just talk about masks. He started painting them, hundreds of them, some smiling, some crying, some beautifully broken. He explained, "These masks are what we all wear, but the moment you take them off, that's when you truly begin to see your soul." He understood that genuine freedom doesn't come from fame or money or even from the love of others. It comes from the courageous act of letting go, of releasing the need to be someone special. He told himself, "All my life I tried to become something, but the real joy began when I stopped trying." He remembered his early days performing comedy, how scared he was, how desperately he wanted to make people laugh. But now, he saw that laughter was never the ultimate goal. The real goal was connection. And somewhere along the way, he had lost that connection with himself. This profound insight wasn't something he kept to himself. Jim began speaking about this truth not as a celebrity, but as a fellow human being. He once said in a talk, "The real suffering begins when you forget you are more than the role you play." Those words touched millions of hearts. People saw that even the man who brought so much laughter to the world had felt broken too, and that, surprisingly, gave them hope. But let's be clear, letting go of the mask wasn't a one-time event. It was a journey, a struggle. There were days he wanted to retreat, to hide behind fame again, to feel that sense of being needed. But he chose not to. Instead, he faced the emptiness, bravely confronting it. And slowly, gently, that emptiness began to transform into a profound sense of peace. He realized a fundamental truth. We wear masks because we're afraid of not being loved for who we truly are. But real love, authentic connection, only begins when the mask finally falls away. One evening, he stood before a mirror, looking into his own eyes. A soft smile touched his lips. "I'm not afraid anymore," he said. "I don't need to be anyone. I just need to be." The mask, the last vestiges of it had finally started to fall, and underneath it all there was light. He may not have known it then, but this new light inside him would soon change everything: his art, his mindset, and his entire way of seeing life. Jim Carrey's journey reminds us that vulnerability is strength, and that true peace comes from within. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of his powerful story. If you found this inspiring, please hit that like button, share it with someone who might need to hear it, and don't forget to subscribe for more insights into the human experience. Until next time, keep shining your authentic light. We're talking about Jim Carrey, the legend known for his incredible energy and comedic genius. But what if I told you that the man who once made the world roar with laughter has now found peace in a life far removed from the spotlight? Stick around, because this transformation is truly something special. Remember Jim Carrey, the king of red carpets, blockbuster movies, and sold-out shows? Well, today, his mornings look a lot different. No scripts, no screaming crowds, just soft light, quiet music, and a warm cup of tea. He's traded the bustling sets for a canvas and paint, the endless interviews for the pages of a book, and the constant applause for the profound comfort of silence. At first, this silence felt heavy for him, almost like an empty room echoing with old memories. It was a space that seemed to magnify everything he had left behind, but gradually something shifted. That same silence began to feel incredibly peaceful, revealing a depth he never knew existed. He started to understand that silence isn't empty at all. It's full full of answers and insights he'd never stopped long enough to hear before. It's a powerful lesson, isn't it? That sometimes the most profound revelations come when we simply stop and listen. Jim used to believe that life was all about accumulation, more success, more fame, more material things. But his journey has taught him a different truth. Peace isn't found in adding more, but in taking things away. It's about the brave act of letting go of what feels fake, of what no longer resonates with your true self. It's a powerful shedding of layers. As he once famously said, and this really hits home, "I used to believe I had to become something, but now I see that I was already enough. I just had to stop pretending." Wow, think about that for a moment. Just stop pretending. A key part of his new routine is meditation. Every morning, he dedicates an hour to sitting still, breathing slowly, and simply observing his thoughts as they come and go. He admits that at first his mind was a whirlwind, old memories, regrets, anxieties all screaming for attention. But with patience and practice, his inner world began to calm, like ocean waves settling after a storm. It's a testament to the power of inner stillness. One day, while deeply immersed in his painting, he looked at the vibrant colors blending on his canvas and shared another beautiful insight. He softly remarked, "Life is like this, messy, beautiful, and never perfect. But you don't have to fix it. You just have to feel it." This perspective changed everything for him. He stopped trying to make sense of every single thing. He learned to simply let things be. If sadness arrived, he welcomed it. If joy appeared, he savored it. He realized that both are just visitors, neither destined to stay forever. The man who once seemed to run from his emotions was now sitting with them, openly, without judgment. He shared a cup of tea with his pain and even found himself smiling at his fears. In a later interview, he spoke with such profound clarity, saying, "When you stop fighting what you feel, you become free. Pain loses its power when you stop fearing it." That's a message we all need to hear. It's about surrendering to the present moment, whatever it holds. The house that once felt too big, perhaps echoing with past ambitions, now felt peaceful. Every room held stories, yes, but none of those stories controlled him anymore. He walked through them like a grateful visitor, appreciating everything, even the mistakes that shaped him. He no longer needed the world to clap for him, no longer needed external validation to feel seen. Why? Because he had finally truly seen himself. Sometimes he sits by the window watching the trees sway gently in the wind. He smiles, thinking, the trees don't try to be anything, they just are. This simple yet profound thought became his new truth: to live simply, honestly, and freely. It's about existing authentically, without the burden of expectation. Jim has even started sharing his thoughts in interviews again, but there's a noticeable shift. His words are softer, slower, infused with a deeper meaning. He speaks about the beauty of letting go, the power of silence, and how true peace isn't found in external success, but in internal surrender. People are listening differently now. They don't just see a comedian, they see a man who has weathered the storm and found profound light on the other side. One recent evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in fiery oranges and golds, Jim sat on his porch. He closed his eyes, feeling the cool wind on his face. No thoughts, no noise, just pure stillness. And in that beautiful stillness, he whispered, "I'm finally home." It wasn't a home made of walls or fame, but a sacred space within himself. A place of peace that no one could ever take away. That empty space he once feared had become the most beautiful space of all. What an incredible journey of self-discovery, right? Jim Carrey's story reminds us that sometimes the greatest adventures happen within. It's a powerful reminder to slow down, embrace silence, and truly see ourselves. What part of Jim's transformation resonated most with you? Let us know in the comments below. We're talking about Jim Carrey. Yes, that Jim Carrey, but not the one you might immediately think of. This is the story of how the king of comedy found his deepest peace not on a stage, but in the quiet corners of his own being. Imagine this: The man who once lived for thunderous applause, who chased success with a relentless spirit, now wakes up each morning and simply is. No rush, no checking messages, no elaborate plans. Just soft sunlight, stillness, and a profound gratitude for another breath. He's traded the frantic pursuit of happiness for a deeper awareness, letting joy find him in the simplest moments. The song of birds, the scent of paint, the quiet laughter from a neighbor. What a beautiful shift, right? Jim discovered that his art, his painting, was no longer about perfect strokes or pleasing critics. It became about truth, about showing what the soul feels when it finally stops pretending. His canvases burst with bright, wild colors, and he'd softly say, "This is life. There's no plan, just flow." His work became a powerful mirror, reflecting pain, beauty, and freedom, all interwoven. It was as if his art was whispering to everyone who saw it, "You can fall apart and still become something breathtakingly beautiful." And then, Jim started speaking again, but this time, not as a comedian, but as a teacher of peace. He talked about the immense power of letting go, of releasing our grip on the person we think we are. His message was simple yet profound. You don't need to be special, you just need to be real. These words, shared with such heartfelt honesty, started spreading like wildfire across the internet. Clips of his interviews went viral, and people began calling him the awakened Jim Carrey. But titles? They meant nothing to him anymore. He'd simply smile and say, "There is no me. There is only life happening through me." He shared his journey with students, artists, and dreamers, confessing, "I know what it's like to have everything and feel nothing. The truth is, you already are everything you're looking for." Think about that for a moment. So many hearts were touched by those words. People who felt broken found a new glimmer of hope, realizing that pain isn't an end. It can be the very beginning of something incredibly real and authentic. Jim often spoke about depression, not as a curse, but as a message. He said, "It's life trying to free you from the false image you're living." He spoke with a serene calm in his eyes, a calm born from walking through his own deep darkness. His life became beautifully simple, yet filled with profound purpose. He painted, meditated, offered smiles to strangers, and lived with an open heart. He no longer needed a grand stage to perform. His entire life had become the message itself. One evening by the beach, he saw a young man crying. Jim, with his characteristic quiet empathy, sat beside him. The young man, surprised, asked, "Are you Jim Carrey?" Jim simply smiled and replied, "Sometimes." A soft, gentle answer that brought a laugh through the boy's tears. The young man shared his struggles, his depression, his failures, his fears. Jim listened, truly listened, and then offered these powerful words. "Maybe you're not failing. Maybe you're just becoming someone new. Pain isn't destroying you, it's shaping you." Before Jim left, he imparted one more piece of wisdom. When you stop trying to be who the world wants, you'll meet the real you. And trust me, that person is enough. As the boy walked away, Jim looked at the endless ocean, its waves crashing and flowing, never holding on to anything. He whispered to himself, "That's how I want to live, like the ocean. Always moving, never holding." He realized that awakening wasn't about becoming wise or holy. It was about becoming light. Light enough to allow life to flow through him without fear, without control, without the masks we often wear. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Jim Carrey smiled. He wasn't acting anymore. He was simply being. What an incredible transformation, right? This story reminds us that true peace often lies not in chasing, but in letting go. If Jim Carrey's journey resonated with you, or if it sparked a thought, please hit that like button. Share this video with someone who might need to hear this message, and don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring stories. Today we're diving deep into a story that might just change the way you see things. The incredible journey of Jim Carrey, long after the spotlight dimmed. This isn't about the man who made us laugh until our sides hurt, but the man who found profound peace in letting go. Years have passed since Jim walked away from the relentless churn of fame. He's different now, quieter, softer, with an almost luminous calm in his eyes. He once said beautifully, "I didn't lose myself. I just let go of the version I never was." Imagine that. Letting go of a version of yourself that wasn't truly you. Every morning he paints or meditates, finding joy in simple existence. Peace for him isn't something he seeks. It's his natural state. He looks at the sky and just thinks, everything changes, and that's okay. He's learned that life isn't something to control, but something to flow with. One afternoon, a friend visited him, asking a question many of us would wonder. "Jim, after everything, the fame, the depression, the silence, what have you really learned?" Jim smiled, looked out the window, and with that familiar spark in his eyes, he said, "I learned that there's nothing to do, but let go." His friend was a bit confused naturally, asking, "Let go of what?" And Jim's answer was soft yet powerful. Let go of control. Let go of fear. Let go of who you think you should be. The more you let go, the more life takes care of you. He explained that all his past pain came from trying too hard, trying to be loved, trying to be funny, trying to be important. He candidly shared, "Depression came to remind me that I was never meant to be someone. I was meant to just be." As he spoke, his voice was calm, a testament to someone who has truly made peace with every chapter of his life. He continued, "When I stopped chasing, I started living. When I stopped fighting sadness, I found peace. Happiness isn't something you find, it is what's left when you stop pretending." He picked up one of his paintings, a simple masterpiece of light and color flowing together. He smiled and said, "This is how life feels when you let go. Messy, beautiful, free." His friend listened intently. There was no trace of sadness in Jim's words, only a profound truth. He said, "Everyone is looking for something outside. Love, money, success. But everything you're looking for is already here." He gently touched his heart, emphasizing, "Right here." His message became crystal clear. We are not what we achieve. We are not what people say about us. We are the quiet space behind all the noise. Looking at the sunset, he added, "Letting go doesn't mean losing everything. It means losing what was never real. It means trusting that life knows better than your plans." Later that night, Jim wrote in his journal, "There's nothing to do but let go. Let go of the story, the name, the mask, the fear. Only then do you see that you were never broken. You were just becoming free." He closed his notebook, smiled, and sat in silence. The very silence that once might have terrified him now felt like home. As the moonlight filled the room, he whispered, "Thank you. For every pain, every loss, every moment. They all brought me here." He knew his journey wasn't about fame or success anymore. It was about truth, a simple truth. You don't need to become anything, you just need to let go and be. He smiled one last time and said, "The real me isn't the man on screen. The real me is the space between every thought, free, open, and at peace." What a powerful lesson. Jim Carrey's journey teaches us that when you let go of everything you are not, you finally meet the person you were always meant to be. What resonated with you most in Jim's story? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If this message inspired you, please hit that like button, subscribe for more transformative stories, and don't forget to ring the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.